a very special guest with us today. We have Renee Yankee. Renee Yankee is the founder and CEO of Wellness RX Integrative Health. How's it going, Renee?
It's going great. Hey, guys.
Hi.
What a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, welcome. I'm glad that you can make it in. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite parts of the job. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just how you kind of got into your position where you are right now.
Sure. So I was a pharmacist. I'm now a holistic practitioner. And my story is I was working as a pharmacist. I did that career for 26 years. I know I don't look old enough, but I did.
Did you start when you were like 10?
Right.
In
Exactly.
Pharmacy? Yeah.
Exactly. And I really enjoyed what I was doing for a really, really long time. I enjoyed going to work every day. I enjoyed meeting new people. I was fortunate to be in management, and I got to do a lot of really fun, cool things with teams, helping to support them. And we worked on workflow efficiencies and just really fun stuff. And about the last 2 years of my career, things really changed. Unfortunately, it become a lot of work faster, get your teams to work faster, fill prescriptions faster. And that just didn't align with me. It didn't feel very good. I actually felt like I was running a fast food restaurant. And that wasn't what I wanted. That's not how I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So was this on the tail end of COVID?
No, this was actually before COVID.
Right before, okay.
Yeah. So when I did decide to walk away, it was 2019. And I was very thankful that I made the decision before COVID because, wow, that was a major change for healthcare in general. Side note, when you're getting these nudges of, hey, it's time, you need to do this thing, do it. Because it's right. Your gut, your mind is right.
Were there things outside of just speed up, kind of like that you notice in the pharmaceutical world that just didn't align with what you wanted to do? I mean, just the practices that were going on?
Yes. So I was for a number of years before that, internally, I felt like a hypocrite because I didn't feel like it definitely wasn't the right thing for me to just take a medication to band-aid some symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already interested in holistic health and taking care of myself and my family that way. And so, yeah, as I would visit the pharmacies that I supported, I would, we were dispensing all these prescriptions, and a lot of the patients that would come to the pharmacy at that time, like they just wanted that pill because it was going to fix this thing so they could get on with their life, when really they needed to maybe focus in on some nutrition changes or some lifestyle changes instead of needing to take this pill, not fixing what was really going on. And likely they're going to have some side effects from that medication that they're going to then have to deal with. And it literally, people would say, like, what's taking you so long? Just slap a label on it.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, there's a lot going on here, and you really don't understand what you're putting in your body.
Are there simply just too many drugs out there?
There's a lot. Yes, I would say yes.
To really dial in on what the actual fix is.
Yeah, well, I would tell you the fix is it starts within our own selves,
right.
Lifestyle and nutrition.
Watching things like, I don't know, Game Show Network, I find it hilarious personally, just because it's game shows, medicines. And, it's just like the whole list of side effects, including death and stuff like that. It's like
worse than the symptoms you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I've always been curious for people working in the pharmacy, just how much they see and how much is unnecessary. I actually had a good friend of mine who was working in the pharmacy, and he left. He was getting ready to leave, but what really kind of put him off is there was medication, not health medication, but brain medication, I guess, for like a 2-year-old or something like that, or 3-year-old. That was kind of the mom was coming in, and he's just like, okay, I'm done. But yeah, I definitely believe that we put way too much weight into a quick pill fix.
Absolutely.
Here.
And there's a place. There's absolutely a place for some of those medications. There are things that we need Western medicine to take care for us. Like, for example, my husband is a type 1 diabetic. Started when he was 12 years old, which means his body cannot make insulin anymore. And so he needs insulin. It's a life-saving medication for him. And it's totally appropriate and the right thing. Whereas, other chronic conditions that, we could like lead less stressful lives where we can keep our blood pressures lower. So maybe we don't need blood pressure medications, or we could eat a little more whole food based diet. So maybe we don't need cholesterol medications, blood sugar medications for type 2 diabetes, things like that. There's definitely a place, for medications and things out of our control. And I would love for more people to embrace the things that are in control and just start taking better care of themselves.
Speaking of that, what do you believe are kind of some of the main reasons, the main concerns in the health in the United States, why it's been declining over the years? Because, we see this all the time. I mean, even now there's a big push for health and all these information coming out, like, the exact same cereal in Europe has 7 ingredients, whereas in the United States it has like 20.
44.
Yeah, or whatever it would be.
Is our food supply trying to kill us?
I'm not going to answer that. I have an opinion, but
Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, that's a really good question. Health related things, I think, that are pretty big that we could all like start making changes right now is definitely in the things that we choose to eat. So all those processed foods, really, if you could get processed foods out of your life, 99% of the time, you don't have to be perfect, but pretty darn perfect. I think that would make a huge impact. We probably wouldn't have as many of the cardiovascular issues like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, all those things that really impact people's health. That would be huge. And then I don't think that most people prioritize sleep and realize how really important sleep is to our bodies and all the healing that goes on when we're sleeping at night. It's huge, and it's free. Like we can all sleep, right?
Right.
And then I was going to say one more. Hold on. Let me get that thought back. Food, sleep. Oh, our busy, overscheduled lives, like stress management. I think if we just take a step back and really prioritize what's important and stop overscheduling and overcommitting ourselves, that would be huge.
I agree with that. I mean, especially with internet emails. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we just are doing 30, 40 things more than we used to do before all that came in.
And working more.
And working a lot more. Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually had another question. I forgot about that as well. But, oh no, I have heard, and tell me if this kind of aligns with what you think. I have heard when you go to the grocery store, if you stayed on the outside of the aisles, it's much that's what we should be doing.
Yes, absolutely. So if you shop in your produce area and then shop on the outskirts of the grocery store, majority of what we need is right there. Now they're getting smarter in the grocery store. So they have those end caps now. So as you're going around the perimeter of the grocery store, you're still seeing a lot of those processed foods on the perimeter. So don't let that reel you in. All right. But yeah, if you focus on buying products at the store that are whole foods, like it doesn't necessarily have to have a label on it to tell you what all is in that. Like this is an avocado, and
yeah, there's not an ingredients thing on an avocado.
No, yeah, Whole Foods is the way to go.
Is there a lot of genetic additions to fruit and vegetables these days? There's a lot of sugar in a banana, say. Is that banana being altered in any way, or does it depend where it comes from? Are they what they used to be, or are they something different with more sugar that can do harm?
So there are a lot more GMO vegetables, fruits, and definitely things have evolved and changed. Like with our wheat products, the wheat that our ancestors grew and used and ate hundreds of years ago is so different from our own here today. And you see all these people now that have celiac disease and have gluten sensitivity issues, and probably there are even more people out there that have a gluten sensitivity issue that don't even know it.
Yeah.
And it's because it's so different, and our bodies see that as foreign and not that whole food the way that it used to be originally. So yeah, lots of modifications. I generally recommend to people, stick with organic as much as you can. I know it can cost more. And there's the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org. They do a great job every year of providing a list of here's the clean 15 and the dirty dozen.
Ooh, that's
And
interesting.
so the dirty dozen is, if you're going to eat this food, get it organic. Don't compromise your health and eat non-organic. And then the other one is, hey, ideally you'd get these organically, but if you can't, this is what's okay to get not organic. It's not as bad for you.
And are there a lot of products out there that just simply slap the word organic on it? And it's not necessarily organic?
I don't think they can do that. Like you'll see that organic certified sticker. So, they're, people are finding ways around lots of things
That's
these
what I'm saying,
days,
yeah.
but so you never know. But from my understanding, it's got to have that certified organic to be able to slap it on
Food
there.
and drug, yeah.
I kind of know what you're leading to, kind of like the free range. Well, they just need like a 2x2,
Yeah.
little
The size
area.
of this
Which
room.
it's just a name. It's just a word to use
Yep.
to boosting sales and everything. But want to get into a little bit of what you do. So you were a pharmacist, 26 years, and you said I had enough. What tipped that for you, where you said, you know what, I'm done. I need to change and go more holistic?
So I started waking up on Sunday mornings dreading that I had to go to work the next day. And that had never happened to me before. And I thought, wow, this is what people are talking about when you're not happy with what you're doing. And I still tried. Like I was like, just dig down deep, try something that you can get excited about going to work every day. And I just couldn't. There was nothing. And so I, with the support of my husband, I made the decision to walk away from that career. And I didn't know, like when I turned my resignation in, I did not know what I was going to do. I knew that I was going to take some time and see what was out there for me. But I honestly I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have another job.
Wow, that's scary.
It was very scary.
Yeah.
And you said at the time, you were even going through your own health issues on your website under your biography. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that kind of like got you into starting this.
So things that, as days go on, life evolves, things start happening, and you might notice this, you just kind of get used to it. Like it doesn't go wrong, bad all of a sudden. It just kind of eases into, like, now, oh, this is happening, and I've just been accepting that and putting up with that all this time. So I noticed that, when I would get out of bed in the morning, things were kind of achy and not feeling great. I was stiff, and I thought, wait a minute, you're not old enough for this. This should not be happening. I was sleeping at night, not enough hours, mind you, but I still was really tired in the morning. And I was a couple of cups of coffee drinker in the morning, so that I could like really get going and get the brain active and on point. And just random things like that. Clumps of hair was coming out
Oh,
in the
my.
shower, and yeah, and like I said, like this all evolved until I realized, like, wait a minute, this is not normal.
Mhm.
Why are you putting up with this? And interestingly, it wasn't until several months after I resigned from my career. So all that stress gone. So the least stress that I'd probably had in my life since before going to pharmacy school. Um, and things really kind of started imploding. Like I started having additional symptoms, and I was like, wow, what's going on? And so I crossed paths with a naturopath and did some functional lab testing, and um, it was horrible. Like a lot of the markers on my tests were just horrible. I was like, holy, I can't believe this, because besides having a high stress career, I was doing okay. We ate relatively healthy. We're active, all the right things. And she told me that our bodies are really smart. And when I was in my career and just stressed, the body kind of holds everything together, and it covers, it masks what it can. So um, you can keep doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
And then after it realizes, like, oh, we don't have to do that anymore. We can be taken care of now. All these things unfold. And I was like, wow, okay. So I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to start learning more and more about how I can take care of myself and heal myself. And it really did start with, I thought I was eating pretty healthy. But there's some core foods that are really inflammatory to our bodies. And when I removed those, things really changed. Like I didn't get out of bed feeling achy anymore. I wasn't waking up tired, feeling like I needed all this coffee to get going in the morning.
Mhm.
And just lots of really cool things like that. So then I realized, like, wow, this is pretty remarkable. Like the food really is medicine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in your particular case, I mean, what were those foods that you kind of cut out
Mhm.
and helped you be more energetic?
Gluten, number
Mhm.
one, sugar, dairy was an issue for me as well. Corn and soy.
Corn.
And were
Mhm.
these making you sick, or you decided to cut them out?
No, they were
Just
causing this.
collectively.
For me, this inflammation that was going in my body was the symptoms were the achiness, the
Okay.
being tired, not feeling like I had the energy that I needed to get through the day. All
Mhm.
those things that it evolves over time, and you just kind of accept it, and then
Yeah.
realize, wait a minute, that's not normal. It didn't have to be that way.
I'm surprised to hear corn too, because corn, it seems like, is in almost everything
Mhm.
out there. It's one of our biggest products here. So that's really interesting. I definitely can understand the gluten. The sugar
Mhm.
is absolutely insane when it comes to your body. Corn was definitely interesting in there. And on your website, I want to talk a little bit about your services that you do. So you're starting to feel better. Actually, before we get to that, you're starting to feel better. What made you start Wellness RX Integrative Health?
So I decided, because I told you I didn't have a job,
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan.
Mhm.
I found some classes at Red Rocks Community College they have an integrative health program and all these like really cool classes. And I thought, hey, I'll take some of those and see what I can learn, see what's out there that I don't know about. And so that's how I actually became a reflexologist. I took one of those classes and was like, this is really amazing stuff. And so I took all the rest of the classes to get my certification. And then through a lot of the other integrative health classes that they offered, I found the program that I practice now. It's called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and that's an online course. And it taught me functional lab testing. I'm trained in reading these markers and then helping to correlate with the individual client what symptoms they're having and what history they have had. it's really cool. Basically, what functional lab testing does is it identifies these healing opportunities in the body, because oftentimes a symptom that someone might be having isn't related, or you can't really say, oh, this is because of this. So for me, example, waking up stiff and achy, you know, what's that related to? And so, yeah, the functional lab testing is really cool. And it's for me, you know, my pharmacist brain, it's this data, it's specific data about this person.
Mhm.
And then coupled with what they're telling you doesn't feel right to them, or what they might want to achieve in their health goals, you put all that together and then help them with lifestyle and nutrition. It's really amazing.
I wish there was a book or something that said, okay, at this age, this is normal. Because so many times I wake up and it's just like, all right, that's not normal. But, you know, it's like, hey, you know.
Well, and you mentioned being a reflexologist. Tell us a little bit about reflexology.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's interesting to me.
So this is a modality. It's really cool. It is gentle touch to the feet. It's also you can also do hands. Some really experienced and further trained reflexologists can even do ears. I'm not trained on ears,
Mhm.
but it's gentle touch to the feet or the hands. And the purpose is to bring balance and harmony to the body. So our bodies want to be in balance and harmony. There's all these checks and balances that go on in there, but we get in the way, or environmentally things get in the way.
Mhm.
And so there are all of our organs and systems are mapped out on our feet and our hands. And so we just gently manipulate those to support the body in healing and doing what it's meant to do.
I thought that's what it was. My uncle way back in the day. Yeah, he would give these foot rubs and he'd be like, "Oh, your liver's not doing too well. Oh, your kidney's not doing too." And so on your feet, these little pain spots or whatever basically tells you what's going on in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I've always found that fascinating.
It's really cool.
Yeah. For people who are listening on the radio station, you can also now find the interview live, so you can see our pretty faces on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And if you do have a question, go ahead and type that into the comments, and we can try to get them. We do have one question that did pop up, and so when questions do pop up, I'd like to bring those up so that you can answer those for our listeners. In addition to eating healthy, what is your stance on checking hormone levels?
That's a good question. So one of the functional lab testing that's available is a hormone, sorry, stress and hormone panel. It's a salivary test. So you basically spit into these tubes, and it gives you your cortisol levels, which is really important. That's our stress hormone, and it actually dictates how all the other hormones are doing, including our sex hormones. So I'm absolutely that's one of the foundational tests that I do and I recommend to clients, because it's valuable information.
The stress and hormone panel test.
Yeah.
So that is one of the services that you do for people on
Mhm.
that.
You can find on your website. Yeah.
And yeah, if you are listening in, the website is wellnessrxintegrativehealth.com. You can also find them on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. On your website, you have what you call a 90-day wellness program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So this includes the 5 foundational labs that I like to do on clients, and then we work together for 90 days. And so pretty much out of the gate, when I start working with a client, and I do a call with clients, a free call, to find out like what are they trying to achieve, and see if we're a good fit to work together, because I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm okay with that, right? You need to find your right people.
Yep.
So I make sure we're going to be a good fit together. And then I also tell them right out of the gate, before we even get your lab tests back, I'm going to ask you to take some things out of your diet, because they are so inflammatory to the human body, and likely people will start feeling better and getting closer to the results they want once you eliminate these things. So it's the common things: gluten, sugar, dairy, and then also alcohol for 90 days. And so if if they're like, oh, no way, I can't do that, then we're not going to work together.
Not a good fit.
Because you're not going to get the results that you really want.
Mhm.
And then you're not going to think that I'm doing a great job, and you're not going to tell others
Yeah,
how great it is.
Right. You can't really help somebody if they won't stop drinking vodka and eating Lucky Charms.
Exactly.
Exactly. So this 90-day thing, you do all of the, and you do believe that there are universal truths like gluten, like sugar, like alcohol, where it's not good for anybody.
I do. Yeah.
Mhm.
For me personally, gluten is not my friend.
Mhm.
It's just not. So our skin is also a detox organ. And if I unknowingly am exposed to some gluten, I get this like crazy rash, and it's itchy and it's irritating, and I hate it.
Hmm.
And it's just not my friend. All these years of healing that I've done, that is not something that has improved. And so I'm okay with that. And it's really easy for me to not eat gluten because
Mhm.
it's not worth it. Sugar is another thing that I stay away from. I don't have as severe as a reaction to it. But it makes me like not sleep as well at night. I'm
Sure.
a little more restless, if you will. So I do. Yeah. I think that those things, for a majority of the people, we would be so much better without them.
Mhm. We do have one more question that came up through social media. Again, if you are watching through Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, feel free to leave some questions in the comments that we can get to. Is reflexology, and this comes from Facebook, does that include acupuncture? What are your thoughts on stretching, massage, and acupuncture working together?
So all different things.
Mhm.
Acupuncture is actually using, they're called needles, but they're so like minute.
Mhm.
They actually put needles in various pressure points across the body. I have done acupuncture. I do recommend it for clients. Sometimes it's amazing. It's great for stress management, pain management, all sorts of things.
Is that similar to the reflexology points in the foot that these needles are going into? I don't know that much about acupuncture.
Sometimes. So
Okay.
for reflexology, we mostly work on the bottom, the what do you call it? The bottom of the feet
Mhm.
and the toes. And acupuncture, they will actually place needles on the top of the feet, and ankles, and just all over the body, ears. If people have sinus problems across your nose, the bridge of your nose, like all these crazy places. But it's great. And what was the other part? What were the other things they mentioned? Oh, stretching.
Stretching and massage were
Stretching,
also
yes.
mentioned.
Yes, massage is fantastic. Stretching is also great. Like the benefits that we could get from full body gentle stretching are huge.
Mhm.
If you do it at night, it's great, great relaxation for your muscles and your mind to then prep your body for some quality sleep. It's also great in the morning or throughout the day, just to get the body woken up and stretched and get the blood circulating. All sorts of movement like that is really supportive, not only to how our body feels, but to keeping our stress levels down.
Mhm. I've also heard that even simply just walking for a half hour a day is insane when it comes to the benefits that you get from it.
Yes.
Too. On your 90-day wellness program, so you get all the tests, you get all the labs, panel tests. They drop everything, and so at the end of this 90 days, is this a you do another panel test and see what the differences are? And my other question is, when you get that first initial one, do you kind of create a plan based off of those results for each individual?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when we initially get the lab results back, yes, that's exactly what I do. Is I compare the lab data to what the client's telling me. So what symptoms they're having, what things that have evolved for them that isn't normal anymore, and also what they're wanting to achieve, what their health goals are. And so I correlate that information and give them a plan that's specific to them, so very individualized. And it's focused on 5 categories: diet, rest, exercise, stress management, and then also supplementation. And all 5 of those are equally important no one is not as more important than any of the others. They all go together. I don't generally generally recommend retesting right at the 3-month mark, because usually it takes a little bit longer to move some of these markers.
Okay.
And it is an expense. It's not covered by insurance, so it's an out-of-pocket expense.
Of course it's not.
Exactly.
Is anything covered anymore?
Yeah.
It's roughly about $1,500 to just for the lab testing, and that's not me marking things up. That's like what the lab charges.
Right.
So I generally recommend people wait closer to 6 months so that we can really see progress and movement in all of their markers, and they don't feel like, oh, it didn't really move that much. I'm feeling much better, but this has improved, but it's not as much as I thought it would yet.
Gotcha. So a good time frame is about 6 months to
6 months
go
to a
back,
year. Yeah.
be doing these. Gotcha. Also on your website, you have something called Winter Real Food Real You Reset. I'm very curious about this.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it is going to be changing to the spring Real Food Real You reset. So I do seasonally a 5-day reset, and it's a detoxification for the body, but it's whole foods based. So it's not juicing things or just taking supplements or drinking shakes and not eating food and starving yourself. It's
Not the Hollywood diet.
No.
All right, gotcha.
No. It's really focused on whole foods, quality protein, fresh fruits and vegetables that are supportive of the body, supportive of our natural detoxification system, to help it out and give like our liver and our digestive system and our kidneys some extra love and attention. And I like to call it a reset, because kind of similar to our computers, when they start like not working quite like we want them to, we might like reset them or reboot them. And our bodies need that too. So it's a 5-day reset. Monday, April 7th is the next one.
Nice. We did have another question coming in from our social media platforms. What are your thoughts on fasting for the body? Because reset and
yeah, I'm assuming they're talking about maybe some intermittent fasting.
I would assume. Yeah.
I think that is very valuable for certain people. So it's very valuable in giving the digestive system a break. When people are eating and are snacking every 2 to 3 hours, it's really not great on our digestive systems. Like they never have a break, so it's on all the time. I think for men in particular, intermittent fasting is great, and you can do it anytime. Women, we're complicated. We're special.
No.
Yes, we are special. So women that are in their fertility years, are women that are going through perimenopause, you've got to be really specific about what you do, or you're not going to reap the benefits. You're going to do all this work to intermittent fast or close your eating window, and you're not going to get the benefits that you want, because it's just a stress on your body. When you're in menopause or you're doing it the right time of the month, it's fantastic for women as well. But the timing has got to be right. And it's great. Like it's great for mental clarity. It's great for, just stress, the internal stress that goes on our body if we're constantly eating.
You say you try to regulate a lot of this with what people eat, what people take in. Does this also include supplements? And what is your feeling on pills and supplements when it's the natural ones, not the pharmacy ones? But
correct, yeah. I do recommend supplementation to my clients that do testing. I'm pretty conservative on the supplements. I absolutely believe in them, because our food is different than it used to be hundreds of years ago. Our soil doesn't have all the nutrients and those minerals and the vitality that it used to have. So we aren't getting all the things through our foods that we really need. So everyone really does have to supplement. I'm a little conservative though, because I think I still have a little bit of that trauma from the pharmacy world of here, take this,
Yeah. So how do we find the right one for each individual?
Oh, totally. And that's basically why I won't recommend supplements to someone who doesn't do testing.
Right.
Because you really are just kind of guessing like, oh yeah, you do need a prebiotic and you need a probiotic. Well, you don't really know until you do a GI map on that person to see what their terrain, what's going on in their own gut,
what they're lacking. Gotcha.
Yeah. So you're just replacing something that maybe doesn't need to be replaced. So when we do that, we're causing an imbalance. And the body doesn't like that.
You said there are certain universal truths that you find with, sugar and alcohol that just is not good for our body. Are there, when it comes to supplements, would you say that there are certain ones that are almost always included that are kind of universal truths that people are not getting enough of, that you would recommend these supplements to the majority of your patients after seeing these tests?
There's some common ones, yeah. So what I have found, so the majority of clients that I work with are female. So oftentimes there is some adrenal support that is needed. Oftentimes there is some probiotic or prebiotics that are needed for the gut to help heal the gut. I also find what else is common. Interestingly, even here in Colorado and all the sunny days that we have, most of us have vitamin D levels that are too low. And so surprisingly, a lot of us need vitamin D supplementation.
I have heard of that even here in Colorado.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
People aren't going outside enough.
Apparently not. Sitting on their computer too much.
Working too much.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned you mostly work with women. Your website's kind of geared around women, but there's a testimonial from your own husband. He was having issues, and he started a program with congestion, inflammation, back pain. And how did you approach that?
You mean, did I make him do it?
No.
No. So he was my first client. He didn't pay well, but that's okay.
He was your guinea pig.
Yes, he was my guinea pig.
He got a break on the.
Then it worked out.
He did, yeah. And he was probably not the best client because he didn't follow all the rules all the time, but he did do his recommendations enough to heal a lot of those things that were going on in his body.
That's good. I remember I had a trainer years ago, and they make you write down everything you eat that day, that week before then. And I couldn't stand it. I mean, it drove me nuts. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I can see how it would be an adjustment for someone who's so used to a certain lifestyle and menu and whatnot. So
even some people like weighing their foods, the exact amount that they can have. And a lot of times it's we eat too much normally as a society. So when you start weighing and start saying this is all you should eat, it's like you're still hungry on that. You have you kind of map out an approach with your practice. This includes finding the root cause and two others. Can we kind of get into that approach? What makes you set apart from others? Yeah.
I think it's because I focus on the individuals, and that's what I learned through my FDN training. We're all unique. If all three of us did the same lab testing, it's going to be totally different. And while some of the recommendations in those categories that I focus on might be similar, there's also going to be some differences. So, for example, one of the things that I was mentioning earlier about the stress and hormone panel and our cortisol levels is oftentimes if that's high, cortisol is kind of the boss of all the hormones in the body. And so other hormones and other systems in the body have to kind of take a back seat when cortisol is high. And so exercise, for example, that is actually an additional stress on the body. So if your cortisol levels are already high because there's too much stress going on internally and externally, intense exercise for you is not, it's not good. You are not going to get any benefits from that. And actually what you're going to do is hurt your body. Yeah, honest. So in those cases, people really need to focus on gentle stretching, nice relaxing walks, not getting the heart rate up high until we can deal with getting the cortisol in the normal ranges and having the rest of the body functioning how it needs to be.
Go for it.
I was just want to ask about these cleanses. I've never tried one. Is that something like people think it's a quick fix, just like something you get at the pharmacy, or are they actually effective or on their own, or are there other things you need to do as well?
I mean, I think some of the cleanses are probably effective, and maybe doing what people want. I absolutely do think that people think, oh, this is what I need. I'll just do this.
Drink water for a few days.
Yeah, feel better, and then go back to doing what I was doing.
Right.
So it's very
That's kind of what I
temporary.
figured.
The cleanses, are you talking about included in like the stomach bowel cleanses?
Yeah,
that
they
people
kind of
do?
clean you out, and then you fast for, I don't know, a day or two, or
Gotcha. Then kind of restart from
and then
what
just
you think.
go back to frozen pizzas.
Exactly. I love it. So couple things. So, well, first of all, I want to tell everybody again, wellnessrxintegrativehealth.com is the website. They're also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn right there.
It's a great website.
It is a great
very
website.
Informative. Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Very easy to maneuver around. I really like
Navigate.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Couple things about, I want to go back to your years as a pharmacist compared to right now, and just kind of in general your feelings, because we hear this all the time on Western medicine right now, because of course you are not saying get rid of all pharmaceuticals. You're not saying that it is only diet. It's kind of a balancing act right there. But when it comes to Western medicine right now, especially in the United States, what are your feelings on that, and what are we doing wrong?
Wow, that's a big question. One of the things that I see in Western medicine, and patients see it too, the doctors don't have time. They've got 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes with a patient. It's this grind that they're in, just like the people in the pharmacy. It's a grind. And so you can't possibly actually listen and really connect with your patient in 10, 15, or 20 minutes. It's just not humanly possible. Especially if they have issues going on that they need to tell you about. They might take over half of that time trying to tell you what they're experiencing, right? And so this poor doctor, is like, okay, here, take this pill. It sounds like this, or let's do this lab work, or let's do this test. And then what we see from that is there's not quite enough information for Western medicine. If you aren't sick enough, you're normal. So on the lab test, there's this huge range. Like if you've gotten lab work done, there's this huge range of normal. And if you're high or low outside of that. And that's representative of the population, the entire population, whether you're chronically ill with 7 diseases or you're an athlete.
Yeah.
And in functional medicine, that range is much smaller. It's much more optimal, and it's focused on people that have optimal health. And so when your lab work is out of range, either high or low, it's based on what we believe now to be optimal health. So that's something really tangible. In Western medicine, it's normal, and that means you're not sick enough yet.
Gotcha.
And so by the time you get sick enough, you got a big problem on your hands.
And do even doctors do full panels like you do with all these hormones? No. Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. I had my own personal experience about a year ago, and I wanted my hormones tested. I was at my female doctor, and she said, "No, you don't have enough symptoms. We don't need to run hormone testing on you."
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an amazing quote that I'm going to steal from you. If you aren't sick enough, you're normal. I really like that. That really kind of speaks. It speaks to today's medical world.
Yeah.
Right there. Well, you've been in business for how long? When did you start Wellness RX Integrative Health?
So Wellness RX was formed in May of 2020 when I got my reflexology certification. And then it expanded in October of 2023 when I got my practitioner certification.
And you started right at that couple months after the COVID pandemic hit.
I did.
Wow. What a journey has been. How many clients do you typically have?
It fluctuates.
Mhm.
Right now, I have about 7 clients in my testing that I'm working with, 90-day program, assortment of things. And then I have reflexology clients that are intermittent, basically like every 3 to 4 months, maybe a couple times a year kind of thing.
Is it a seasonal thing? Do people feel worse in the winter than they do in the spring and summer?
It fluctuates.
Yeah.
I think it just is dependent about what's going on in
With the
people's
individual,
lives.
yeah.
Heard more depressed in the wintertime. That's why everybody wants sunshine.
Yes.
I love winter personally, but most people.
I'm okay with it, but I want the sunshine with the snow.
Right. Well, especially to get the vitamin D here in Colorado. Well, if you go to wellnessrxintegrativehealthservices.com under our services, that is where you will find the 90-day wellness program, as well as what's soon to be changing from winter to spring. Real food, real you reset. So definitely check that out. And up above it talks about the approaches of personalized health assessments, holistic health coaching, natural and integrative therapies as well. Can you expand a little bit on how you coach and these therapies that you continuously do with people? And I take it you have some clients that have gone past the 90 days and stuck with you because of how you're making them feel.
So my coaching style, I'm kind of a cheerleader at heart. So I really like to be an encourager and a motivator. I think once someone has determined, like, I'm ready to change, I just need the guidance. Then that's where I can be really effective with you, because you're ready, you just don't know what to do.
Right. Exactly.
So I can help you with here's what to do, here's how you can get there. And then we spend our time, chipping away at this plan. Some people want to take the plan and make all the changes in all those categories all at once. Some people are like, no, that's too much. It's overwhelming. I want to start with one. And so I ask them, what do you want to start with? Let's start there. And we just start chipping away at it. And I like to help them build on their progress. And I also like to remind them to always look back at where they've come from, because as we heal and we get better, we forget where we started and how far we've come. And I think that's really important to continue the forward momentum, to keep that in mind and realize, like, hey, yeah, look at that. This is what I've done. All right, I can do the rest of this.
And I understand a lot of times it's easy to forget how bad we felt.
Yes.
And go back to our old habits when it comes to that. Kevin?
You mentioned brain fog on your website just briefly. What is an approach to that, and what do you think causes it? Just the everyday grind and that sort of thing, like we discussed earlier?
Yep, I think it's multiple. It can be multiple things for
Yeah.
different people. It can be inadequate sleep, so not getting enough hours of sleep and no quality sleep. It can be nutrition, because that's also an inflammatory response of the body. So yeah, so it can be all
Just
the
part of
stress.
everything else. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you find, you mentioned a little bit ago, some people just want to start with one thing and kind of slowly change instead of just boom, New Year's, new me type approach to it. When it comes to success rates, do you find a different level of success between the people who suddenly go full throttle into a full change or slowly get into it? And also, do you find that one is actually even healthier? Because part of me seems like your body is used to all of this stuff. And if you suddenly just switch it 180 degrees, your body could get, um, I guess, confused
Mm.
and could even get a little bit worse for a little short period of time.
So yes, that's a good question. I have not seen a difference between clients wanting to, like, let's
Full-fledged.
do the full thing or let's take baby steps. And I think the reason for that is because it just depends on where they're at. There are people that are highly motivated and they are really driven and they want to make the changes. And then the people that are like, that's overwhelming. I need to start with one thing or one category. And that's effective for them. I think if the people that are overwhelmed were forced or asked to do it full fledged, they wouldn't be successful because they're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen success in both scenarios, and it just depends upon what you're presenting as. As far as the people that want to make all the changes at once, the only thing that I have seen is if someone has had the typical standard American diet, or they're eating a lot of processed foods, and they want to implement all of the nutrition recommendations, which would be whole foods, no gluten, no sugar, none, all these things, they are going to have a reaction in their body. They are not going to feel great
That's what I was
because
going to ask too.
there's all these toxins and chemicals that are in processed foods that the body gets used to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like this weaning off or this detox that they
Like a
have to
hangover
go
of some
through.
sort?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Thank you.
Are there any we talked about the best way to go grocery shopping is stay outside the aisles and kind of circle around there. Is there health benefits to, say, the flash frozen vegetables and produce, canned vegetables that last a lot longer? I mean, if you shop at the produce, you're probably going to the grocery store multiple times a week. I know one person who's a good friend of mine who is vegan, and yeah, he goes to the grocery store 3 or 4 times a week to do that. So is there any health benefits, in your opinion, to the flash frozen or canned vegetables that are just as good as produce?
So interestingly, the organic frozen vegetables, they have shown to be just as good, almost as good as fresh. And you are maintaining that that quality so that it's not going bad, right? Canned would be like, ideal would be fresh, then that organic frozen. The canned would be last on the list. And again, it's if you can't get those, the top two. I just would be careful with canned foods. And they're not a no for me, but pay attention to look at the ingredient list, because sometimes you'd be quite surprised at what gets added to those
As far as
things.
preservatives and whatnot.
Yeah. And then sometimes they add a lot of salt, of sodium. And I'm not saying that salt is bad. I'm a salt fan, but quality salt, not the
Right.
bad
So,
salt.
yeah.
I have heard that there's natural salt out there that is actually really good for your body and not the processed, salt that we all know on the salt shaker on your
Yes.
table.
Yes.
So, Well, Renee, if as we're wrapping up right here, what would be one message? Of course, hopefully the United States takes this seriously when we start making stuff like we send over to Europe with instead of 20
All these
ingredients, like 7. So hopefully, we start learning a little bit more and actually doing something about it. But what is kind of the one thing that you would want to just kind of tell everybody out there as to if this is even in the back of your mind, this is how you do it. And then we'll wrap up with all of your contact information as well.
So one thing that I think would benefit majority of the people is get off of processed foods. Stick to whole foods. There are foods that you're eating that are processed, and you can find a way to make them in a healthy way yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be huge. It probably would increase the health of most people, and they would reap benefits that they don't even realize that they don't have right now, like from not only your health, your weight, but your sleep, your mood, things like that. So I think that has the most bang for its buck.
Most bang right there. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. It's amazing how much diet does all of that with your mood, your energy, everything. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
This was great.
This was fun.
Yeah. Definitely stay in touch. And for all of those looking to, run some tests, find out exactly what's going on, speak with somebody because, especially the older you get, you realize that you might want these little things that you're feeling may not be just because you have an age number behind it. It might be something that you can easily fix. Website is wellnessrxintegrativehealth.com. We've been talking with Renee Yonke. Thank you very much. Founder and CEO right here. And reach out. There's a contact us on her website, and they are all over Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Been
Thanks
fun.
for being here.
All right. Well, Kev, you're going to be coming up next here as well.
Yep. Take a quick break and we'll be back with Kev on the radio.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks again, Renee.